48-hour art check, round 273, the last one of 2020. Hello.
Love it. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
All right.
Awesome. I have like more tabs open than I know what to do with right now. Yeah, so Christmas. I don't know. Should we do our check and just kind of talk about everything, or should we just do a loose one?
I don't know. We could try to run through our check pretty fast if you want. I mean,
Okay.
you want me to go first?
Sure.
All right. Let's see. So I worked on a Patreon sketch. I got a tier on my Patreon that if you stay on it for a year at a certain level, then you get a free, or not a free sketch, but you get a sketch as part of that tier. So I did that, and I also filmed it. So I'll probably use that as some background for a video or something like that. And I also produced a video that is live right now for my patrons, and it'll go live tomorrow for everyone else. And that's basically on setting goals and things. I do that video every year, kind of look back at my goals for last year and set goals for this year. So that video will be up tomorrow. Did a lot of research for KDP, some just different ideas for books and things like that, keywords, things like that. Did some sketches for some KDP books, worked on some graphic design, layouts and everything for some books. And let's see, and also I'm working on coloring some of, if you guys have seen that, sometimes I show that one book, that Gross Foods book up, that I want to make stickers out of it. I want to make like a sticker pack. So I'm starting to color some of those in so I can make stickers out of them. I want to make a really cool video out of that where I show how to do wax packs and stickers and kind of like in the tradition of like Garbage Pail Kids and wacky packs and stuff like that. So
That'll be cool.
Excited about that.
Cool. That's awesome. Josh, how about you?
All right. I did not get as much done as I was hoping, so I'll show. So I've finished 4 thumbnails, so I'm like 3 shy of where I need to be. At the end of tonight, I'll be 2 shy of where I should have been. But yeah, so kind of blocking out these scenes, and then from there. I also did Christmas stuff, and then the main thing that was really cool was I was on the Read, Learn, Live podcast, which is a podcast I really like that interviews a lot of authors and stuff. And it's kind of cool because it's like, you know, it's all over the place. Like it's authors that are fairly unknown, and then authors that have like been up for like Pulitzers like and crazy stuff like that. So it's cool to have been on there, but the coolest part about it is the host John Monaster is just like, he's a guy who he's a really good interviewer, and so it was really fun to talk about my book with somebody who like clearly read it and like asked like really intuitive questions about the plot and the structure of the writing, and it was a real deep dive, and I'm looking forward to whenever that goes live. I'll definitely share it with everybody. But that kind of made for a fun morning. Although the imposter syndrome kicks in anytime I do that. Like 5 minutes after, I'm like, yeah, that was terrible. I must have sounded horrible. But you know, that's par for the course. So that's pretty much what I've gotten done so far. Yeah.
Cool. I did the credits for my Indo-Exo, which is an animated series that I got the first episode done a long time ago and then was waiting on sound, and then that didn't work out. So I ended up doing the sound myself, which instead of having like a music bed, I just did sound effects instead. So I like layered in a bunch of I layered in a bunch of sounds. So like you hear, Foley, and you hear electronics and metal on metal, and shopping carts and drips. But then I also layered in like nature sounds, because the whole idea of the show is to have this juxtaposition between like tech and humanity. And so anytime I'm showing all this, debris and detritus and kind of waste of tech, I also show like and hear like nature. There's like birds and stuff, and that is premiering tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
And so that's up on my YouTube channel, and you can get notified on that. It's 4 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 3 p.m. California time. So that'll be airing on the 29th. No, wait, 29th or 28th? What day was today? Yeah, it's 29th. So tomorrow the 29th. So it'll be good. I'm really excited to get that episode out of there. And then I've also done more progress with Jim Lujan, who's in the chat. We did a bunch of stuff with Brady. I keep thinking that is a that's not a. I keep thinking that's not the intro. I keep thinking it's a thumbnail. But anyway, breaking the chains. We've been kind of doing more on that. So I've got a face rig and some other stuff, and it's been awesome.
Yeah,
to work with his assets. So
yeah, the breaking the chains show you guys did last time was great, and if you guys want to see like a full out breakdown of the crazy rig that Corey did on the face, it's just kind of unbelievable, but really cool and insightful and fun to kind of see you guys at it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's nice to do some video content about After Effects that isn't super watered down, because a lot of the stuff I've done on YouTube has been when I'm talking about the software has been like tutorial videos. Jim started watching them and said, it takes a lot of patience to teach that stuff. I was like, I never really thought about it, but yeah, like having to explain like what a keyframe is, in this, and now because I'm talking to Jim, who's really good and has done this forever, I get to get into some of the crazy stuff. So it's fun to talk about.
That's awesome.
Scott, how about challenges?
Challenges, just some KDP stuff. I have these. I talked about these before, but I had these. I had this book where I uploaded the same interior with like 5 different covers. It's this kind of zombie apocalypse handbook thing, and 2 of them got approved, and the other 3 got rejected. And so I made a bunch of changes to it, uploaded it, and it's still getting rejected. I cannot figure out why for the life of me. It's a full bleed book. I brought all the anything that had text on it or anything I brought within what the standard was going to be for it, even if it wasn't full bleed. And it just keeps saying that it's that I need to extend the artwork further out, which doesn't make sense because all the dimensions are all right and everything I've checked over them. So I don't know what the deal is. The only thing I can think of to do is the pat. It's kind of got a back like a kind of a grainy background that's supposed to bleed off the page. The only thing I can think to do right now, because you can't really contact somebody and say, no, just this is the way I want it to be. Please print it this way. The only thing I can think to do is just get rid of that grainy background and just have it solid white. And then, it just, I can't figure out half this, half this stuff. So stuff like that. And then I had another book that had a curse word on the front cover, and you can sell those books, but you can't advertise them. So I was doing a different version, and I created one without the curse word. And apparently there's more to what you can advertise and what you can't than just if it has curse words or whatever, because it said that the content wasn't, you couldn't advertise because of the content. So anyway, so yeah, that was kind of a book that I put not a ton of time in, but because it was kind of a re-edited book that I had already done. but I made a lot of changes, and I thought this was something that was going to, because it's like a New Year's type book. A lot of people like, and it just kind of basically what it is. It's I might as well talk about it since it's not going to probably sell it at all. But it's like good riddance to 2020, hello 2021, and it's just people drinking and partying and stuff like that. And a lot of them have like, I put masks on a lot of people, and in the backgrounds I put 2021, and it's just a lot of funny memes and things, kind of based on the year we had last year and everything. So because of the nature of the content, it won't let me advertise, so I don't think anyone else will see it. So anyway, that was, but that's kind of what you deal with when you're doing this kind of stuff. So those are my main
challenges. Thought of advertising it not on Amazon, but driving.
Yeah, I could. I mean, the time's kind of running out. I mean, I guess if I don't really want to advertise it on like my own channel or anything, because it's not on brand for me.
No, I'm talking about like run a paid ad on Instagram. There's a lot of click-through advertising on Instagram that's been happening lately.
I have I don't know. I mean, it might be okay, because I had back when I was doing more fan art stuff, I had a T-shirt of Han Solo and Carbonite, and he was kind of flipping like double birds, and Facebook wouldn't let me advertise that one. So I know that they've got some of the same regulations and stuff, but I might be able to advertise that on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. Plus, I'm not really on Instagram so much. It'd be weird. But I guess you can advertise it even if you're not using your own.
Yeah, you don't have to use your own account. Yeah. I don't know. Instagram suppresses my stuff because I make fun of politics, and so
yeah.
They seem to think you're like spreading disinformation, even though it's satire. But the algorithm, I don't think, can understand satire.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because I don't know who would seriously think that I'm suggesting replacing Congress with nano battle bots instead of an election, but they don't let me do stuff with it. So anyway. At some point during this show, I would love to hear Josh talk about how he got in contact with the press and podcasts he's done. So we'll have to circle back around to that. Okay. Josh, how about challenges for you?
So that would be one of the challenges, is just kind of contacting press because of the holidays and kind of a few days off. And we had one family member here who's like super quarantined and cautious. And so it's one of the few in our circle. But because of that, there was a lot of distraction on my end. I was just having a lot of fun hanging out with family. And then also we had to get our carpets done. And when we redid our carpets, like we had to get them like deep cleaned and stuff. And then when that was done, it was like having to put the books back on our bookshelf. It required like this whole reorganization process. And we realized we had so many books just laying around, we had to buy another bookshelf. And so that took like 6 hours to build. And I'm not even exaggerating. It actually took about 6 hours to build, which is insane. Like it shouldn't. But so that was super time consuming. And so I just keep having these kind of scenarios of like, I don't know, like the resistance type thing from the War of Art, where it's like, everything comes up and sort of distracts from the process of working on this second book. And so it's all just like a fight to do. But the main challenge is basically like a lot of it's good stuff, where it's like, like last night, instead of working on my comics, I finally watched that. Now I'm blanking out on what it's called, but the Keanu Reeves like action flick. Oh my gosh.
John Wick?
John Wick, yeah. So we watched John Wick and John Wick 2, which I hadn't seen yet, and I knew I would love because people described the plot. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good pointless action flick. Like, I want to see it. and so yeah, it's not bad problems to have, but But I have to say, like, the whole press thing is something you really have to stay on. And it kind of made sense to let it die out a little bit during Christmas, but it's like I need to hit that pretty hard, which bums me out because I don't want to do that anymore. I want to just work on, on the second book. But I can already see it. Like, I mean, it's one of those things you have to be really active with. So, yeah, so that's kind of it's a good problem to have, but,
Yeah. Let's see, for me, apparently I was unaware of this until I needed a piece of plexiglass, but apparently there is a shortage of plexiglass that exists right now. It's probably,
I wonder why.
what do you mean? It's probably has something to do with COVID. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I can't find any anywhere. So anyway, I had to locate.
You know what's funny? I'd never even thought of that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's like plexiglass everywhere now because everybody's building all these barriers and whatever. But like, the challenge is I need a plate of glass or plexiglass that allows all UV through to, because that's the one part of the screen print kit that they didn't supply. Everything, they have everything else. And so, while I'm being socially distant, I'm trying to like go to like these local mom and pop shops to see if anybody has any glass lying around. And I found a glass cutter. And so I had to special order a custom cut piece of glass, which should be here in a couple days. So,
so are you building an exposure unit then?
Yeah, I'm doing emulsion. And so, I think I have somebody who can print the transparencies, but then I'm going to sandwich the glass transparency and then emulsion screen so that there's no light leaks, so I get a better thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Acetate is great for transparencies too. Just do an acetate.
Okay.
And I think, trying to remember the kind of printer, there's a specific printer that will print direct onto acetate and save you a lot of money in the long run because you're not going to have to pay for sheets. But I think you can also do that at like a Kinko's or whatever.
Yeah, I've just got a local printer that I do everything through.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but I don't have all the designs done yet. So I do have some of those.
I'm so jealous. I want an exposure unit. That's cool. The one thing that's a screen printing, like, just beautiful thing I used to have access to on our campus was a suction, like light exposure machine.
Uh-huh.
So you would put you would, like, obviously like coat the emulsion and stuff on like in a dark room. And then you put like your screen with the transparency in a light box that vacuum sealed. And then you'd like take these two like levers on the side and like flip it so that it would be exposed by this like giant light. It was like the coolest, most ridiculous unit in the world. But I was like, that would be cool. And then the power washer thing, like those, if you have those two things and a good dry rack, you're set for screen printing.
What I've got is a $100 kit from Speedball that I got off of Amazon, and
that'll work though with Ingenuity.
That I ordered from some local Main Street mom and pop shop.
With Ingenuity, dude, you can do it with anything. So,
and I will be hanging the light from the ceiling, or something. I haven't figured that part out yet, but it's got like a light. You're supposed to measure it out anyway. So there's that, and then also this is just normal, but it is -2 right now, and it will be -2 for the next day or two, and 7 out of the next 10 days will snow, and it has snowed most of the last few days. It's just super time consuming because like you go out and you spend like an hour, 90 minutes or whatever. If your snowblower works, and like it didn't work for a while, so I had to like drag it like a quarter mile by hand, like through the slush and snow to a buddy who, because I don't have a truck, who knows how to fix it. So anyway, so it's up and running now, but then like I did our driveway, and then we're in a corner. We're in like a cul-de-sac, and so I have a curved front yard. And so I have like 70 yards of sidewalk that I have to do. And then so I do that, and from that, which I did at like 8 p.m. To the next morning when I woke up, there was like another 8 inches on my driveway and sidewalk. So it snowed like 8 inches in like, I don't know, 12 hours or something. So anyway, it's been dumping snow, and it's just like a constant. So like every time I see my like pregnant wife out there with a snow shovel, I'm like, oh, because she doesn't tell me. She's one of those people that's like, pregnancy isn't going to stop me from doing stuff. So anyway, I went out there. I was like shoveling because she wouldn't let me take the snow machine from her and tell her to go inside. She's like, I could do it. And then she starts doing our neighbor's yard, and like, I don't know. So anyway, so then my hands hurt because I'm still dealing with that. And so like, I've been going to the chiropractor 3 times a week to like try to get that working again. So that's that. And then because I'm in between semesters, I'm like, my sleep schedule is flipping again, and I'm going nocturnal, and I'm like losing track of stuff. So I went to bed at like 5:20 this morning. But that doesn't mean I get to sleep until 4 in the afternoon. I'm still, I don't know. I just get less sleep. So I think I'm running on like 5 hours of sleep right now, or something. So good times.
That's so funny. I was doing there was this podcast I did, Beautiful Voyager, and it like we were talking about like mental health and like ways to deal with like mental illness. And I was like, and one of the basic ones is like sleep. And she was like, well, how often do you sleep? And I'm like, crap. Because I've gotten good with all the other stuff like the exercise and stuff like that. But like, that is definitely one of those scenarios where I could improve on like making sure I'm sleeping the right amount, No.
Yeah, I normally get enough sleep. There's 4 out of 7 days a week I'll get enough sleep. That's usually how that works. But I teach 8 o'clock classes 3 days a week. So anyway, so yeah, Scott, how about plans?
Plans. So I'm going to continue to work on these books and this these gross food illustrations, and then I got a couple of Etsy orders that I got to ship out tomorrow, which is weird because like all through Christmas, I don't think I barely got any Etsy orders. Of course, I didn't really run any sales or anything like that, but yeah, like I guess today I just got a few Etsy orders, so I got to ship those out. So that's I think that's pretty much what I got on the docket.
Cool. How about you, Josh?
So I need to continue plugging away, trying to hit the goal of a page a day for thumbnails, these kind of tighter roughs I've been doing. And then I definitely need to get back on the bandwagon of press releases, sending those out and following up on the ones that I've already sent out, just to be that squeaky wheel. So, because it's like, I mean, half the work is getting a book published, and then the other half is like getting it to sell and promoting it. And it's like 2 different mindsets, and both really important. And one is one of my favorite things, and the other is not. But I need to eat my frog in that case, or whatever, So
did you do a digital press kit and you send out that link, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of basic stuff, but it's a lot of work. But it's like I've talked about this a little bit. I learned a lot of this when I was doing Numb, and I had gotten the Xeric for it from this guy Jeff Mason, who ran Alternative Comics at the time, and they were a small indie. But because he had run an indie publisher like for a while, he knew how to get press and gave me tips. And then my sister did as well, and she was a senior editor at a entertainment section of a newspaper. So she dealt with press releases all the time. It was like, so yeah, I mean, the big trick is you need something that you need to write it in a way that's compelling and worthy of a story for people. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is like your press release, the verbiage of it needs to justify to the audience like why they should be writing about you, which is really nerve-wracking and terrifying. But like that, because of that, like one of, if you're like I am, and like I'm not like nationally known, like I'm not super famous, so it's like you want to hit certain angles, like you want to hit local for sure, because news reporters in general are like anyone else, they want a day off, they want an easy gig. And you can make their life easier. Like if you write a really compelling press release that's like an article, and then provide all the assets they need to run it in the paper, you just made their day easier, because they have a quota to fill, and they have stories to put out, and generally, especially local related stuff, like they always love that story that's like the hometown kid does well, or hometown, local does good. And so you kind of want to play up that element. And for me, I play that up anywhere I've lived. And so far I've had bites in locally here and then in Long Beach, because those are hometowns of mine. So it's like, those are places I lived. Long Beach, you go, like, obviously go with your alma mater. Like if you went to college in a certain area, like hit that area and say you're a graduate of that college. And then, yeah, you just send out queries, like just like you'd apply for jobs. Your new job is to apply for articles. And then you just prepare yourself for a litany of rejection. And that's kind of how it goes. And I haven't had like wild success with it. I'm pleased with the fact that it worked, because it's been years and it's a little different now. Because back in the day, you'd send out press packets. It's pretty much that, but digital now. And then Corey gave a tip to have downloadable assets on a page that I would link to people, and that was a smart idea, because I was going to link people to a press release anyway. Once again, just thinking of the journalist, I'm like, do they prefer a postcard or prefer something they can cut and paste and edit? I'm like, they want something they can cut and paste and edit. But it's also, in a weird way, it's a way for you to control the narrative too. So like you get to say things about your book you want said about your book, and then hopefully the journalists kind of pick that up and say the same thing. And then I've also just reached out to people I admire and asked them for tips and stuff. But I haven't gotten a lot of press and podcasts. To me, like, it doesn't seem like a lot. And if you saw my batting average of what I send out and then what I've gotten responses for, it's pretty slim. But I do need to get back on it and keep doing it. It's just like a test of willpower, and it's like any other self-promotion activity, where anytime you're doing self-promotion, you feel like a hooker. It's like the worst feeling in the world. And then even interviews are pretty bad, because a lot of the time you'll literally be asked, like, why should people care about this? And you're like, yeah, well, that's like one of the things that was relieving about the podcast interview I did today is I didn't get that question. I got a lot of questions that were really insightful, that were like, the person had read the book,
Right.
But it's like, but honestly, any press is good press. And I'd be happy with like a scathing review. But I still haven't gotten much response from reviewers. I've asked people to like put up Amazon reviews, and I haven't had much response for that. It's just like a long hustle, and it's a hard hustle, and that's kind of what you do. I don't know. With some success, like I've seen people way better at doing this themselves than I'm doing. But I will say it's cool, and it's part of your job as an author. Even if you have a big publisher or small publisher, whatever size publisher, that's part of your job. And one of the things the publishers that are larger will do with like a marketing team is basically line you up with some of these things, but they won't line you up with all of the things. And so depending on how much you hustle, that kind of can control a little bit of your success. So it's very like why I said it's similar to job applications. And Corey knows this too, because he's done this. I mean, he did this professionally. Like he sent out press releases for a company and probably crafted them and marketed them. And but yeah, it's kind of like the reason I brought up job interviews is it's very much like job interviews where it's like, you can have the best resume, the best portfolio, have everything set up and send out like 1,000 job applications and get no responses. And part of the game of applying for jobs when you're out of work, especially if you're going for in-house jobs, and I would say probably like more so now, it's a horrible climate to be in that position. But half the game mentally is just staying in it and just kind of assuming that it's going to happen. So, and I mean, you treat podcasts the same way as the news media. You just format your writing to podcasts. And try to bring it relevance to it. So like, I'm lucky in this kind of in the sense that like the topics that I'm covering are like mental illness. And so I can kind of angle it from a, with the sort of catch that like this day and age, like it's really important for people to talk openly about mental illness because we're all kind of isolated in our homes because of COVID. And so it's like, trying to kind of bring relevance, but I'm also being sincere with my marketing. So it's like, it happens to be helpful that that's a topic of my book and it's relevant for now, but that's how you do it. You find like what's relevant to this. And then with podcasts, it's a lot of it's just like trying to find, I honestly haven't had a ton of success with podcasts. But the few I've reached out to, I've had more success with podcasts than other things. And I'm a fan of podcasts, so I'm going to keep trying other podcasts because I just love the medium and I think it's fun. So I don't know. It's a long-winded answer, but it's the sad part is there's not much of a trick to it. It's kind of what you would think it is. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah. There's a lot to that. So just to wrap, and then we can keep talking about that or talk about whatever else. Plans for me. I am going to do a couple more patch designs so that I can get the transparencies printed for the screen print. I'm going to move around a bunch of stuff in my studio so I have a spot to screen print. And then I am going to. What was the other thing? Oh, yeah. So Jim and I will still be doing stuff. So he's going to get me some assets, and I need to build a scene in Z Space so I can move a camera around. I'm trying to think. Today's Monday, and yeah, that should be most of the things. Right. Oh, I'll also be all of the screen printing videos that I watched. I feel like I could do a better job. So I will be doing not so much a tutorial, but just like here's a guy who knows nothing about screen printing, trying it for the first time kind of video series. Because I think I could do a decent job and I think it would be interesting to watch. So I'll be kind of putting that together kind of by way of promotion for the stuff for the patches, because I want to see. I might start an Etsy store. I'm not sure where I'm going to sell these yet. I might just do it on Gumroad. I might do it on both. I'm not sure, but
I love it.
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of try to do this without having it like overtake my life, but also I want to give my stickers and my patches like a chance to get out there, because I've never really promoted them very much. So anyway, so we'll do that. But yeah.
I think like thinking like of ways like that to offer value to promote too. I mean, I know you do that already with your After Effects tutorials and stuff. The COVID. I I like Salazar's response, Frank. Classic.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about that a lot. Like one thing that crossed my mind when I was just reorganizing my bookshelf was like I have like all these crazy indie graphic novels that I've acquired throughout the years, and I was realizing like having done these press releases, like how few outlets there are for like reviews or spotlights on comics, especially indie comics.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking like it might be fun, you know, and I have no idea when I would do this, but it might be a smart idea, not only, you know, selfishly as well, because it would be self-promotion as well, but also just to like try to highlight some of the books and kind of go through them and kind of say what I love about the art in them and what drew me to those books, and maybe do them like alphabetically or something. It's a thought because it would also be helpful for those books to see a little more attention because like there's just so many good. One thing I've realized definitely from doing this whole press release thing is like nobody knows a lot about indie comics. So there's a lot of people who are still asking people the questions like, you know, so I mean, I can't believe there's a serious subject matter in comics, and you're like, really? I mean, like Mouse won like the what was it, the Pulitzer, and I mean Gene Yang won the friggin' MacArthur Genius Grant. I mean, like, but still, like, people don't know who Gene Yang is. You know, they don't know like half these people, and so like anything we can do to like try to get the word out about really good indies, I think would be helpful. So it's just a thought. I don't know. I kind of wanted to throw that out there because your video idea made me think of it, and also I was curious what you guys think of that too. I agree, screen printing would be great because it's such a fun thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. You know how a lot of people are like, I'm trying to say yes to more things. I'm trying to say no to more things.
Yeah.
Because I tend to take on, you know, a billion things. But that sounds really cool. I'd be very excited to be a part of that.
Yeah, maybe we could make maybe this could be a future iteration of the Art Check. Like maybe we could do like a book club thing, like an indie book club where we do like you pick a book to highlight and tell me about one week. I pick a book to highlight and tell you about the next. It's a thought that we should think about and not necessarily commit to immediately because that might be time consuming, but it might also be good because like I said, when I was organizing that shelf, I was like, I also haven't read a lot of these in a long time. And some of them have like really personal stories where it's like, I knew this guy, I hung out with this guy, you know, or I was at a convention and everyone at the convention was talking about this one book. So I like made it, you know what I mean? Like all of those kind of stories came up in my head as I'm like organizing the shelf, and I was like, this would be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The trick would be you need to get somebody with a bigger audience involved initially, just so that you can get some eyeballs on it.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I don't know. It's a long shot, but I mean, you could you know, see if Neil Gaiman will jump on the show with you. See if, you know what I mean? Like go after a couple. I mean, I don't know. The worst that can happen is he doesn't respond or.
So here's the thing I was thinking though, just to counter that. Like, and this is just a thought. I don't know why I'm thinking this out loud because this might be stupid to share because then maybe people will just steal the idea. Although I don't think it'll matter, but it's like my thought is actually on it, like because there's such a slim amount of people drawing attention to these books. By drawing attention to the books, you're naturally going to get eyeballs on it because it's tagged with those books' names and the creators' names. And so, like one thing I have set up is a Google alert, right, for my book when it's out, because like I need to see when there's like articles or anything like that out so I can share it. So it kind of creates that perception of like, there's a lot of press, there's a lot of interest because people like things other people are interested in.
Right.
I can guarantee I'm not alone on that. And I think a lot of larger authors probably have Google alerts for their name. I mean, I was listening to Comedy Bang Bang the other day, and Scott Aukerman has a Google alert for Comedy Bang Bang. So when there's an article about it, it's like, it's up there. And I mean, that guy's like a huge celebrity in podcasting, right? But it's like, so I'm like, I bet actually, like, weirdly enough, by talking about these people's books, like, you'd actually get those people to look at it. It's kind of a cool idea. It's not my own idea. It's a little bit of what Cartoonist Kayfabe is doing.
Right.
But I realize like that could offer value, because I've tried to think of things that could offer value and also promote your own work. And just to me, that would be one where you're offering value because you're shedding light on cool books that already exist. Almost like a book report, you know? And then you're also getting value back because like people will associate you with the books that you're reviewing. I mean, that's my thought on it. I don't know. I could be, I'm probably wrong. I'm terrible with YouTube. So I don't know.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, there's let me see if I can even find this. It was so long ago. I did. Yep, here it is. I did a podcast called Catch Up years ago where a couple buddies and I went through and we just talked about what we were reading. It was interesting, and I don't know. My show notes were nuts, and it took me way too long to do everything because I was doing everything. Anyway, but yeah, I was like doing Amazon affiliates to all the books in the show notes and like screen caps of things and whatever. But it was fun. I think.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking like a more pared down version where you just highlight one book.
Yeah.
And then you'd have obviously like an Amazon link to the book, or whatever link, because some of these books may not be on Amazon. Like that's the fun part of this. Like I couldn't even believe it. Like there's some editions of books I have. Like I have the first printing of Pizzeria Kamikaze by Edgar Corrett and Asaf Hanuka. And I'm like, hardly anyone's read that book. Like hardly anyone I meet has read that book. And they made a movie of it, you know, but like it's, you know, it's just crazy that like, there's all these like great, beautiful indie comics that like I'm excited about. So like that in itself makes me want to talk about them. But then just that thought crossed my mind where I was like, what if I did? Because like that might actually work on a level where it promotes those books, but it also lets people know, people who are interested in those books might actually draw a connection between, you know, the person doing it and the books. I don't know if that's true, but it's just a thought. Because like I said, sending out queries to like comic book reviewers, like half of those reviewers that I've sent out to, I've never heard of, but they review comics. So I send them, you know, stuff to review. And I'm like, and that's not to belittle people reviewing comics. Just my point is like, there's not a lot of people reviewing comics.
Right.
And so I think it might be a worthwhile thing.
Okay. So you've got two options. The first option is not a serious option, but somehow find a way to be really pissed off about women or people, minorities in it. And then you'll build an audience really fast. The other option is I think you should do it on Instagram, release it on IGTV, and then release clips as reels and stories. Because the way that the algorithm is working right now is Instagram wants you to use all of their features. And so if every Monday morning you released an episode, you know, long form on IGTV, and then short form content from that, you know, Tuesday morning on a reel, and then Wednesday morning on, you know, a story, and then you do a couple posts about it, like that are using like carousels and things, it could pick up really fast.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We'll have to throw this idea around. I mean, it's definitely something I'm interested in doing. I'm not sure when I would do it on top of the streams we already do, and then working on my book. But it's like one of those things of like maybe like if you're into it, maybe there's something we could kind of evolve.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. For me, this whole conversation is me bouncing ideas around, knowing that I'm never going to do this because I just don't have.
Well, I wouldn't do that as an addition. So it would either be an evolution of one of the things, or it would be like just something I do eventually when I can. Ideally, it'd be good to have it edited so that it's, you get a good look at the comics too. And
I mean,
the art and the paneling. And the cool thing about it too, that, like, I don't think is going to be like why I don't mind even sharing this is like my take on the comic is going to be different than a lot of people's. I'm going to have different paneling that like speaks out to me, and I can talk about how it influences my work too, because like most of those books have had an influence on what I do.
Yeah,
and kind of point out like, hey, this is where I picked up like this technique, like, or this weird storytelling thing. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you something I would be interested in helping you out with is getting you set up with an Elgato Stream Deck and get it going on OBS so that it can look like an edited video, but it's just it's just you talking and you just push the buttons to do the outro, intro, lower third stuff, and then be done. I've
got one of those and I've never used it.
I know.
It's right here.
Every time I think about the idea which shall not be named that you have, I keep thinking it's like the perfect time. 2021, Scott, is that time for that idea.
I know, but I keep hoping that StreamYard will, add that feature.
Yeah, I mean the biggest problem that you're going to have is guests.
Yeah.
Because there is a way to get around that, but you have to be kind of set up. Because you can stream. I can fake. I'll do it right now. I can fake OBS. I can fake StreamYard into thinking that my OBS is a webcam, and that way I could share my desktop and do whatever.
Right, but you have to right. Everyone that's on the show would have to be able to do that too.
I know. It's not super hard, but it is not. It's not like, point and click easy. So I don't know.
There's got to be anyhow, I do think like this is a good sign of like the fact that like I think this is how we are with everything. I think there's probably like 20,000 ideas we want to get to, and so it's a matter of like when there's a window. And then I think we're also all three of us like the type that if we're gonna do something, like we really commit, and so it's like it's hard to like be like, yes, like this is something I'm going to do. Because if I launch something like that, like it's going to be really hard for me to back out.
That's the thing is, none of us are like the type of people that are like, yeah, let's do it. And then we jump in and we do half an episode, get bored. And it's like, if we're doing it, like the only reason I'm hesitant is I'm like, is that something that I can commit to for like 5 hours a week for like 3 years? That's, in my mind, that's what I'm like. That's what I'm going through. Is like, is this worth?
Yeah, but so for me, like part of why I think, and once again, I have no idea because this is more for myself. Like if I do it myself, part of it is like I want to read the books. Like I want to actually reread a bunch of graphic novels that I love. And so this would give me like almost force me to do it. But then again, that's also frightening because I don't have time to read. I commute like 2 hours a day. So every book I read is like mostly audiobooks. I can't be reading like graphic novels on the freeway.
Okay, here's the plan. This is, I think, a faster way of getting to this idea. Run for office, become wildly popular, get a high-speed rail system all across the U.S.
I like that.
And then you can read during the commute, which will take 45 minutes instead of 2 hours.
That's a good call. There is a local train that it's like a light rail Metrolink thing, but and it does go close to my work. But the frightening part is the part from there to my work, and then the lack of control over when I leave.
Right.
Because you've been an art director before. It's like sometimes you have days where you're not leaving till like 2 a.m, and then some days
you don't want to be one of those. You don't want to be one of those ad execs that has an apartment in the city.
never.
I'll tell you. Okay, I've got. Is there overnight parking where you are?
Where I'm
where you work.
Yeah. Like parking wouldn't be an issue. It's just more of like when you're, because I use public transit for a really long time, and you're very restricted on when you need to arrive.
Oh yeah.
And if you're like 5 minutes late in California, there's no really good commuting system.
Right.
So it's like if you're 5 minutes late, you're waiting 2 hours, or you're waiting like an hour, depending on where your stops are and how many stops you have to do. I don't want to be in that position where it's like I get off work at 2 a.m. and I have to wait till 5 a.m. to get home.
Yeah, I lived in the UK where there is good public transport, and I don't know how it would work here. It works really well on a really small island, or if your country is like the size of France or something, because we forget how small European countries actually are.
Yeah, it was excellent in Portland, Oregon. Had like amazing public transit where every 15 minutes a bus would run. So
but Portland's really densely populated. So like if you look at cities that are really densely populated and people don't own a lot of land, it works really well. And then New York and other areas and DC and stuff like that. But like
San Francisco,
California is like the epitome of urban sprawl. I mean, it's just
Well, LA, so there's other reasons too. Like this is such a nerdy tangent, but this would be a fun topic for a book or something. But like, so LA had an underground system set up at its infancy. Like they were originally going to have like a subway.
Yeah.
And what they did was they built these like giant stations, like all the main stations under the city. And then they decided, they got convinced by a certain leaning party to go public with it. Sorry, not to go public, to privatize it. So it was because corporations always know best. So they auctioned off all the stations, and they were like, corporations can own each station and operate them. And the people lobbying for this were car companies. And what's funny is when they did that, the people who bought the stations were car companies, and then they just let them die. They didn't service them or anything like that. So under Los Angeles, there's actually like a Grand Central Station, like hidden underground.
So we could do like a hideout, like in Superman, like Sluther's hideout.
Yeah, I believe it is part of that. But it's just fascinating to me that like it literally could have been possible, but now the infrastructure, like they've tried for years to do like some kind of efficient subway in LA, and there is like a metro that goes under, but it's just never going to be as efficient as it is in New York, because New York had it from the get-go. So like the whole infrastructure is built around it. It's hard to
well, sort of. They didn't have it from the get-go. They had it from when they buried everybody from the plague.
Exactly.
Rebuilt the city. There was kind of like when everyone in New York died, and they just like brought in a bunch of dirt and just buried it, and we're like, we're just going to pretend like that didn't happen, and now everything is 20 feet taller.
And there's also like, Seattle that did that, where they're like, our city burned, let's build a city on top of our city. Just pretend the city never burned. Anyhow.
And that's where the lizard people live, apparently.
Ooh, I like this. Let's get all conspiracy on this business. See, that will get us. It's either that, Corey, we're going to review comics, or we're going to have a conspiracy theory channel where we invent non-existent conspiracy theories. Or what's weird is we might stumble upon existent conspiracy theories that we thought we were just being absurd and making up.
See, my main concern with that is I think had we done that in like 94, I think it would have been hilarious. It would have been one of the funniest things to exist.
Yeah.
You do it in 2020.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if people would know that we're kidding.
You know what's funny is we might do that and they're like, I'm so glad you guys stopped doing these silly things and just started doing serious, like, serious journalism.
Right.
I don't know, Scott, would you be interested in an evolution to a book review show?
Sure.
I think this show needs to start making some money before we start doing something like that, because it already cost me a lot. And anyway, I'm just thinking, like, can I swing like buying a graphic novel a week or something?
Well, that's why we really do have to talk about it or think about it more. I need to think about it more. But like, if it were with other people, I would want it to be like, maybe it's like each person share, like 1 week they share the graphic novel with everybody else. So
right, but I mean, I wouldn't want to talk about a book I haven't read. Yeah,
that's true. Although it might be interesting because then it's like literally like somebody asking the person who read it, like, why should I read this? It might be kind of fascinating.
So it would be like a change my mind, tell me something I don't know situation.
Possibly. Initially the thought didn't factor in a bunch of people. It was just something I was thinking about doing myself. But if it were a team thing, just to make it feasible, that might work. Unless it's like a book that, it's like, I'm going to do this book next week. We happen to both own, or it's a book where it's like, holy crap, I need to own that book too, because that looks really rad. Yeah. So hold off on doing that next week. I'm going to order it or whatever, But you're right. It could actually lead to a real bleed of money because we discover a lot of cool books.
Yeah. I'd need to spend some.
But like, case in point, like, you have recommended this a million times and I'm still hesitant to buy it just because of the money factor. But it's like Punk Rock Jesus. Like, I need to own and read that comic. I know I'll like it once I do, but I haven't yet. So that could be like 1 week for you, right? And then for me, like the next week could be that Pizzeria Kamikaze book or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah.
And then every week we're going to spend $15 to $25 because it's not like we're not going to convince each other.
I know.
We're not going to be like, Josh doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's terrifying. That is true. Okay. It definitely maybe a back burner idea, but it's a thought. I don't know.
I think it's a fun idea. And the best and most plausible version of this idea is you get an Elgato Stream Deck and I get you set up on OBS and you do it to a camera and just cut it live, and then that's it.
I do like the idea of being able to stream it live. I don't know. I just worry because what you think is simple sometimes, Corey.
I've learned this about myself, that I am not a good judge of the level of difficulty.
Well, and to be fair, you're a good teacher in that sense, where it's like, I have no doubt you could teach me. It's just like my retention for complexity is very low. So it's like, I would worry, but I think
I've actually got demand for me. I have several people that every time I hint at it, people are like, yes, do it. I was going back through some old videos recently, and because somebody commented on an old video, and I looked at this comment where I had mentioned that I was thinking about doing a tutorial of my video streaming setup, and I actually think it'd be really popular because there's just in that one video where I happened to mention it one time, and it wasn't even on topic. I got like, a handful of comments of people that were interested. So the solution may be that I make a tutorial video about what's going on in this crazy, tiny little room.
It is really impressive, man, what you've managed to rig up.
One of the best comments I got on I did a studio tour One of the best comments I got was this guy who's like, "Are all the stupid artist studio tours just people's bedrooms that they've converted into a studio? Where are all the professional artists?" And I'm like, "Who do you think professional artists are?" Like, anyway.
I like this idea of flat Earth and book because books are flat, and so I mean, really, the Earth is just a book.
I have a buddy.
That's what you think, Josh, that books are flat.
That's true. That's true. That's the conspiracy.
That's
books
actually
are globes. Books are globes.
The Illuminati lizard people want you to believe is that paper is flat.
That's right.
I have a
If
buddy.
it's flat, why does it make you think things?
Measure it. I got it. Let me take you through this elaborate equation. So if it's flat, how can I see it from the horizon right now? So
that flat? That's not very flat. It's kind of. Oh.
I have a buddy who does game board reviews, and he got on a game board review blog, and like now, like indie game board makers send him free games all the time.
Yeah,
it's like constant. But he and it's awesome. He runs a little gaming group and whatever to like test out the games and everything. But he before Flat Earth was like a trending topic, we'll call it a topic rather than a joke. He named his thing Flat Earth Games because he's playing on a table, and it was like all of the games that he plays, it's like your own little world, and it's flat, and you look down on it. And so he went to like a game board convention, and like all of these, he's wearing his Flat Earth Games shirt, and all these people kept coming up to him like, "Yeah, man, truth." And he's like, "No, don't. This is just a brand. I'm not one of you people."
I like that. I like the idea that the people who approached him were all like, "Yeah, brother," and then it's like everyone else was just like, "Oh, I'm not talking to that guy. He's got a Flat Earth shirt. I don't know."
He's like a really well-read, highly intelligent person. There's no way he believes in Flat Earth. But like, it's just a really, it's like the company that named themselves SARS before the SARS virus came out.
Yeah,
it's like,
or the weirdest one is Soylent Green.
That has to be intentional. There's no other explanation for that.
I mean, that's not like Soylent Green existed before Soylent, and it's like a food process.
And they also made the branding green. I mean, it's just like
there's nothing. Yep, there's nothing about that that's an accident. But
oh my gosh, that is definitely one of those products. If like 10 years from now, they're like, it's people, it's people. I just feel like, yeah, that. I mean, they kind of, yeah.
There has to be a deeper thing because they had a huge advertising campaign. I wonder if that was like a joke that caught on, and then they quickly made a product and pretended like it wasn't a joke.
Either that or just the idea that any press is good press,
Yeah, that's true. I would imagine people initially were just like, dude, there's this weird product, and then they're like, but it's real.
Well, and also, they make crazy claims. Like they in their marketing, they actually claim that you can replace all of your food with their single product. Like, don't eat things, don't have variety or balance, just drink this. It's like one of the most dangerous. Anyway, I don't know. That's a weird company. I don't know anything about them beyond, but at some point in time, there's going to be like some sort of expose or something where we get all the answers. But
this makes me want to do a book related thing, right? Because like even if it's books too, right? Like it could maybe include novels or something, because it's like that made me think of Anthony Burgess, the guy who wrote Clockwork Orange or whatever.
Right.
He also has this lesser known book called The Wanting Seed, which makes the whole Soylent Green story seem like a walk in the park. It's pretty much the same plot, but worse. and more bloody and scary. Anyhow, yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you something that I haven't done. that I continue to almost do is start a Twitch channel so I can play Zelda Breath of the Wild and Rocket League and not feel bad about it. But yeah, I have played a lot of Rocket League in 2020, like a ridiculous amount. And I think we just sold Frank Salazar a case of Soylent.
All right. And we'll just make sure you order that through the affiliate link. No, I'm just kidding.
we should have an affiliate link and just talk about ridiculous, stupid products.
That's true. That's true.
Oh man, I don't know. I used to try to do. Have you guys ever tried to do the affiliate thing? I tried to do the affiliate thing years ago.
As far as what?
Like Amazon affiliate, where you
I get money from Amazon. I've got Amazon affiliates on my videos and stuff, and I realized I had money in a Printful affiliate account that I didn't even know I had. I mean, because I can't sell any of my T-shirts through Printful, but apparently I did. I did a video that must have got enough clicks because I had like a couple $100 of affiliate money that I didn't even know I had, that people must have clicked and signed up or something. So
yeah. I think I could safely say I haven't made enough on any affiliate anything to even be a drop in the bucket. But
yeah, I was gonna say I think I've made enough to where it wasn't really tempting to cash out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if I got actually some cash instead of my 10% discount on cat print, I'd have a lot of money from if they had a better affiliate program.
100% true.
What's that?
think
you turned me on to cat print, and
yeah, I mean, I get things all the time. Here's your 10% off cat print, and I do get them if I ever do go get a print. I call them and say, hey, can you combine a bunch of these 10% off together? And I usually get order for free, but I don't do a lot of print stuff anymore. But man, I wish they had a better Printful. I mean, I wish they had a better affiliate account over there. Some of them are real good. There's if you look into it, I mean, there's some have really good, like 50% off of, or they get 50% of whoever signs up for the life of their account or whatever. So there's some good ones out there, but none that I'm really involved in.
Nice. I'm in this affiliate program for 2 stories. And I get a small percentage of every book that sells for some reason. I'm not sure why, but you guys should all buy this book. So
I'm in.
Here's the thing, Josh. So I advertised your book on my newsletter.
Uh-huh.
And I made an Amazon affiliate link to it.
Good, you should. Dude, honestly, you should get like whatever it is, like 10 cents, 5 cents for that. That's rad, dude. Like anybody who, there's no reason not to get a percentage.
Just out of curiosity, I checked my YouTube account, and because I normally don't run ads on my shows, but then recently I was like, I'll just turn all the ads on. I think I'm like $10 away from reaching the $100 limit where they pay you something out of the years that I've been on YouTube. I almost.
Well, the thing is now they've got a new thing that they can run ads, whether you opt in or not. They can run ads on your stuff.
That's why I decided. That's why I decided to opt in. As I was like, well, I was not doing it because I would rather not have ads on my videos. But if there's going to be ads on my videos anyway, I might as well make money off of it.
Yeah.
So I turned all the things on just so I could get it. So. Yeah, but I've like, it's funny. I've got a video that did I don't know, tens of thousands, whatever. I can't remember what it is. And I think I made like $6 off of it or something. Like it doesn't pay well until you get into the millions of views and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. How did we get on this? What are we talking about?
I have no idea. we're doing the tangents, but I think it was fun. So
yeah, I'm trying not to do like a wrap up show, since that's what we're gonna do.
I know it's hard to avoid, right? I don't know. I definitely will say we're getting closer to the end of 2020. So you guys should tune in to the Artcasters on Wednesday for our kind of 2020 wrap up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's call it. We're at an hour, 10 minutes. So, Scott, where can we find your stuff?
You can find my stuff at circworks.com. You can also find my videos at Circworks on YouTube. And if you haven't already, check out Making Comics 101. It's a series where I pretty much go through the ins and outs of making comics, everything from how to come up with your idea all the way to creating and publishing and every step in between.
Cool. And Josh, where can we find your stuff?
Well, you can find it in books that appear flat at first glance, but they're actually not. You have to see them from a distance, and you can actually see the curvature of the book. So the book isn't actually flat. I'm just saying, round books, #round books. All right. Anyhow, but yeah, definitely pick up 2 stories at Amazon.com, and JoshuaKemple.com is where you can find all the links to all my other social media stuff. Although tomorrow, everybody should be going to this following link because it's tomorrow that it's premiering, right? EndoXO.
I'm premiering the first episode of EndoXO tomorrow at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, which is 3 p.m. California time, on my YouTube channel. So I should probably put a link up on my website, but if you go to CoreyKerr.com, that's all my work and everything. You see animations and stuff. And if you go to CoreyKerr.com/online, that's like my version of Linktree because I was sick of Linktree. So you can go there and see YouTube and Instagram and whatever. You're on my YouTube channel, so hit the thumbs up. We even got a thumbs up on Facebook. So Facebook, somebody's watching on Facebook. And yep, that's it. So yeah, go make stuff, and we'll see you guys in a couple days.
See ya.